Hey, welcome back into the show, everybody. You're listening to Your Defending Fathers here on the Patriot Voice Radio Network. We're joined this segment and next segment with Dr. Kyle Denholm, Breath of Life Chiropractic Wellness Center in Petoskey. And Kyle, you got a topic this morning. Sounds pretty interesting. Topic is health is like a garden.
Yeah, health like a garden.
Okay.
So well, I mean, what would you, if I were to say that to you, what would you think right out of the gate?
Oh man, health is like a garden. Well, many probably components to it. Needs tending, needs fertilization, needs food, different things, I guess.
Right. Well, I absolutely agree with you. And I think that the idea of that question is really just to kind of spur the thought process, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, I think most people have been at least involved in having a garden, building, growing a garden. And there's definitely a stepwise process. And the first thing you got to start out with, you got to have a plan. Like, okay, Randy, if you want a nice vegetable garden, you shouldn't plant petunias. You know,
right?
You got to have what's the final end in mind here. I want a garden that's going to create food for my family, or I just want something beautiful to look at. It's going to feed the bees and enhance what my house looks like in the summertime. So we got to kind of start with that thought process there in the beginning. Is what is it that our end result needs to be? And so then we have to pick. You come up and you have a plot of land, right? And you don't just start throwing seeds on the ground. What's the first thing that we got to do?
Got to till it up and tend it and get it ready to receive the seeds.
Right, exactly. And so, Randy, I really believe that tilling and that tending part when it comes to our health is chiropractic care. Because chiropractic care affects the function of your nervous system. It makes it so that your nervous system handles stress better. It makes it so that your body is more adaptable. It makes it so that everything else that we're about to do in regards to building this garden is going to be more effective. Because if we don't till the soil, you can still have a garden. It's something will grow. I almost can guarantee you that. It just may not be exactly what you want it to be. And I think this is a huge missing component for most people when it comes to their health. Their spine is neglected, their nervous system is neglected, and that's what chiropractic is all about, is making sure that your spine and your nervous system are functioning properly. So, you don't have back and neck problems as often as other people do. But more importantly, it makes it so that when you have good diet and exercise and stress management, all those things are going to be more effective. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
kind of like the foundation, if you will.
Yeah. So chiropractic, in my mind, is kind of like the foundation. That's why we start, because if we start there and everything else that we do is just going to build and get us to where we want to go. So then the next, you have your garden, right? You've tilled the soil. You started getting chiropractic care. And can I just mention this real quick? I mean, chiropractic care is something just like anything else. It can't be done, even with a garden, you have to till the soil every year. Probably even you may want to do it a couple times a year, before and after the season, right?
Sure.
So chiropractic is something that has to be ongoing. It can't just be a one time. You can't till the soil of a garden once and expect every single year to have that same effect when you want to go plant those seeds. It has to be consistent. I get my spine checked every single week. I have a chiropractor here in town that I go see because I can't do it myself. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that I'm getting my adjustment every week, or at least getting checked every week. I would like to get in more than once. It's just my schedule doesn't really allow that. So I know people need to be consistent with their care, and that's not just as needed or as when I feel like it, because if you do that, then all you're ever doing is patching up symptoms. Okay? Does that make sense too?
Absolutely.
I really feel the consistency is much more important, just like with exercise. If you don't do it consistently, it's better that you do it than not do it, but at some point, you're not really doing a whole lot. Does that make sense too?
Mm-hmm. Sure, absolutely.
So we've tilled the soil. We got our chiropractic going. The next thing is we got to plant seeds, and that's the physical embodiment of what you're going to grow, right? So in my mind, that's your exercise. That's how your physical body is going to turn out. Again, if you want to be a petunia or you want to be a cucumber, those are different things that you got to put in the ground. So if somebody wants to be, kind of you want to have a really nice beach body, you want to be muscular, you're going to have to exercise differently than if somebody wants to be lean and athletic, more like a runner. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So we have to look at the right type of exercise. And then the other thing too is we got to take age and gender into factor. So, I'm doing stuff that a 60-year-old woman probably shouldn't do, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
Sure.
I'm working, for different reasons. So your physical exercise, moving your body, is the seed. Okay, that's going to plant. We put that with good soil, and the other thing too is the tilling is absolutely necessary for that seed to flourish. And I find that that's really a hidden, again, a big blind spot for people when they start exercising. If your spine's out of alignment, if the joints aren't moving properly, you're going to end up with an injury. I mean, I know it's going to happen. I see that all the time. It's the number one reason why people stop working out, Randy, is because of injuries. Think about it. If you're 6, 8, 12 weeks into a program, things are going good, you're starting to see some results, you got a good rhythm going, and then boom, you hurt your back, you hurt your neck, you pull a hamstring. Yep. And you're like, God, I don't know, why did that happen? I've been doing the same thing. It's because you've been doing the same thing on a system that biomechanically is out of alignment. It's just like, Randy, you drove trucks for years. I mean, you got those big rigs, those 18-wheelers. Yep. If one of those tires is out of alignment, that tire is going to wear out faster. Yep. Granted, you guys have absolutely backups on your backups, right? But but that's why, because you guys as truckers understood that if one tire blows, we don't want the whole system to go down, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what a lot of people end up with when they start exercising. So exercise is those seeds that we put in the ground, okay? And then we have to have water. Randy, the right amount of water for every person is not 8-ounce glasses a day. Because you and I are bigger guys, that doesn't make sense for us to be drinking the same amount of water as 100-pound anybody, right?
Sure.
So the formula there, and let me kind of go back to, let me go back to the exercise thing. Exercise you need 30 minutes per day, okay, of rigorous exercise where you actually get your heart rate up at least to between 60 and 70% of your heart rate max. That's the type of, you gotta be breathing, you gotta be sweating, you gotta be panting. That's where we know that the physiological changes that prevent cancer, that prevent diabetes, that prevent heart disease happen. It's not just getting your steps in on your Fitbit. I like it that people are doing that. I'm glad people are moving. Sure. But chances are you're not getting the physiological changes that are required to help you get the changes that you want to see. And protective. For instance, when you have, I think it was the CDC came out and found that that the 25 minutes of exercise 5 days a week, a rigorous exercise, they said, so you're going to get your heart rate up. And this doesn't mean you have to kill yourself. I'm just saying you get your heart rate up, you're breathing, you're sweating a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. They found that will reduce your risk of all cancers by 50%.
Cut it in half?
Cut it in half.
Wow.
Just exercise. Now, if you knew there was a pill, Randy, that you could take that would cut cancer in half, I think everybody would take that pill. Well, it is, and it's free. It's exercise.
Right.
So exercise is that important, and so I really want to make sure that people are understanding what's the right type of exercise, how to, most people don't know how to calculate their heart rate max. Those are things that we help people with, right? So we got our exercise component. Then the next one is water. You got to water those seeds. You got to make sure that your body's hydrated. Overall, we're about 70% water on average, the entire body, right? Depending on what part you're looking at. So I want your body to be, well hydrated. And so what we do is when we do our body impedance analysis with our in-body machine, one of the things that we're able to measure is total body water. So the way we get there is if you take your weight, divide it in half, that's how many ounces you need to drink a day. So I want that to be between 55 and 65% of the total weight that you carry around should be water. Okay, that's because there's just certain tissues that have more than others. That's what you said. So we have to have. So that means, Randy, if you weigh 200 pounds, you've got to drink 100 ounces. And people are like, oh my God, that's so much water. Like I don't even know how to do that. You start by just drinking more, right? And what happens is as you start drinking more, your body likes it. Your body starts to feel better. I hear that this is the one thing I think is a secret sauce for better sleep. To start, right out of the gate, better sleep, better energy. Just drinking more water. And the reason water is important is because basically, Randy, muscles are meat, right? You look at a cow, we eat their muscle. It's a steak or it's a burger, right? Right. Well, we're the same thing. We have muscle and it's meat. Well, if you take a cow and you dry out that piece of meat, what does it turn into?
Yeah, leather.
Leather. Jerky. Turns into jerky, right? That's what It's dried out meat. It's dehydrated meat.
Yeah.
So if you don't drink enough water consistently, and people start having those knots or those lumpy parts around their spine or their back, like, oh man, I got these tight shoulders and they never get better and it hurts. That's exactly what you're feeling. That's dehydration happening in the muscle consistently, which then starts to form scar tissue. And so when you have those knots and those tight muscles, that's exactly what it is for most people, is that we're just starting to cause damage because the muscle's dehydrating. And the other thing, too, is if you take a nice fresh steak, you can pull it, you can squish it, you can roll it into a ball, and everything's fine, right? It'll come back to its original shape. Now, if you do the same thing with a piece of jerky, it's brittle, it tears, it rips. Yeah. Again, another reason why people end up with injury. That's why I harp on water, because literally we live in a country where access to fresh, clean water is not a problem. People don't even realize that that's a struggle. That's a real struggle worldwide.
Sure.
For a lot of people, and especially up here with, you got a well, there's artesian wells that are just, like up in Lansing. It's just literally, there's water flowing from the ground that's good to drink and it's free.
Yeah.
So drinking water is a really important part of this whole process. So half your body weight in ounces. So take your weight, divide it by 2. That's how many ounces of water you need to drink a day. And just become consistent. Yes, in the beginning you'll pee more, but you also probably lose some weight. Once you get hydrated, your body will flush out some toxins. And I've had people lose 5 to 10 pounds in a couple weeks just because their body gets rid of some toxins, some inflammation, and they start feeling better. It's a really simple thing to do. So does that make sense? I know we're kind of coming up on the break.
No, that totally makes sense. And the other thing, like you said, 8-ounce glasses, well, that's 64. If you change that glass to a 12-ounce glass, you're up to 96 ounces just with 8 glasses throughout the day. I mean, it's not really that hard to do.
No, I agree. And that's the thing. It's not that hard to do. And I'll talk about that, kind of the recommended daily allowance of anything and what that means for us. But it's an interesting, people don't understand what that is. They think that's all they need. But it's really, it's not. That's not what the FDA came up with those numbers for. It's a very different thing. So yeah, like you said, go from an 8-ounce glass to a 12-ounce glass. People get those special pint glasses that you can buy at a pub or whatever. Those are 16 ounces.
Sure. Start
drinking those. Those are, that's a pint, right?
Yeah.
So 2 pints is a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon. If you drink 8 of those a day, you're drinking a gallon of water, and you're going to do a whole lot better. So, and I just tell people too, if you're going to do it, just if you have a hard time drinking water, just chug it. Just tank up, and you'll have to pee in an hour, and then do it again.
Yeah. That's what I do. Like you taught me first thing in the morning, to get everything moving. Before I do the show, I make sure that I've drank 2 or 3 glasses, and that's the way I have to do it. I can't sip it. I just got to stand there and chug it right down in like 3 seconds. It's
right.
It's the only way you can get it down, and then, like you say, you're off for the rest of the morning, a glass every hour or so, and you got the whole thing covered.
Yeah, and that's just, again, creating consistency. There's apps out there that'll remind you to drink water. We have these bottles that are cool, and they actually flash and send you a text message to tell you to drink water. I mean, their technology's gone far enough that we literally, there's no excuses to not drink water.
Right. That is interesting. And you say there's actually apps that people can download on their phone?
Yeah, there's like water trackers. Like there's MyFitnessPal. That's a simple one that's free. But yeah, they're called a Hydrate Spark bottle, HIDRATE, and we have them here in the office. They're a BPA free, nice bottle, but you fill it up and it actually tracks how much you drink, and it syncs to your phone. Like I said, if you haven't drank in a while, it'll flash. It's got a thing inside that'll flash to remind you. It'll send you like little reminders on your phone. And you can set how often the reminders are. Like if you're like, hey, every hour I need a reminder. Yeah. And the other cool thing is it actually syncs to your phone. So if you leave your bottle somewhere, it'll tell you the last place that your bottle was at, so you can go back and get it.
Oh, too cool. Too cool. Well, we're going to take a break right now, have some news, and then continue on. Health is like a garden with Dr. Kyle Denholm. I'm Trucker Randy. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back into the show, everybody. Second half hour of hour number one here of Your Defending Fathers. And we're talking with Dr. Kyle Denholm from Breath of Life Chiropractic Wellness Center in Petoskey. I'm going to give out the phone number right now, 231-622-8828. That's the number at his office there in Petoskey. Again, 231-622-8828. And the website, breathoflifechiropractic.net. And we'll post that on our Facebook page and our website as well. Dr. Kyle, we're talking about the garden, and we've tilled up the soil, we've planted the seeds, we've now started adding water. What happens next?
Well, what do you think happens next?
I think the seeds start to germinate. I think things start to grow. Maybe muscles and your fitness starts to grow and get better. Probably losing some weight. I think it's starting fruition. The garden is starting to take shape.
Right. Well, and the next step was we're going to have to feed all this, right? So that's the next thing. You got to have fertilizer, right?
Yep.
Now, do you want to just throw in? People out there don't take offense to this if I say, Miracle Grow is artificial. Okay. Mm-hmm. Miracle Grow is actually made from petroleum. But people don't realize a lot of, the fertilizers that we use in, conventional farming are made from petroleum. It's made from oil. Okay, so we're basically dumping oil on the ground to grow big plants. Mm. Most people don't realize that's where nitrates come from. It's from World War II. It was a complete accident. People didn't even know what was going on. Basically, the nitrates are made to build bombs. After World War II, they had these nitration factories. Like, we don't know what to do with them. Well, let's dump it. We're going to switch it over to making cars or widgets or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, they dumped all these nitrates in the back swamps, and all of a sudden they realized everything grew really big, and they didn't know why.
Oh,
so then this German scientist came up and found out, the NPK, he found the big three. So he found that nitrogen makes them grow big. We need phosphorus for turgidity, and then we need potassium to help leaf growth be adequate. So that's why you have NPK in your soil. But those are three macronutrients. It's not the micronutrients. Anyways, so if you go from Miracle Grow, which is synthetic, it's a chemical, right? Mm-hmm. To say something like Dairy Do, which is it's a composted fertilizer. It's composted manure, right? You got lots of good organic. So again, the type of fertilizer that you choose, I think, is important. So we got to look at what's the right type of thing, and we have to do it consistently. So we talk about cutting out the carbs, cutting out the sugar, cutting out the grains. We don't want to eat a lot of processed foods. We want to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, so that we're getting the right types of, nutrients in our body, so that the plant, which is now our physical body, can grow properly, right? You're exercising. How much protein do you need? We're already talking about water, but, are you getting enough of your macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs? Are you getting the right types of proteins, fats, and carbs? Those are all questions, especially around diet. There's a huge amount of confusion on what the right thing to do is these days. And that's really what we're here for. We're kind of trying to be that beacon of light to help people understand what's the right thing to do. I feel I got a pretty good green thumb, Randy, when it comes to helping people build a garden of health, right?
Sure.
So these are things. That's why we do our workshops. That's why I do consultations with people. That's why our website's a great. On our website, if you click over to that, right on the front page, right on that front banner, there's 5 things that all healthy people need to do. 5 things that all healthy people do. That's a free download. You can get that. It's a 5-page ebook that you can download, and that it talks about all the things we're talking about here. So again, we just ask people to go check that out. There's lots of resources here. So we got to have the right types of food. Have a good portion size, get the right types of food, cutting out the sugar, the carbs, and the grains. Those are all things that we have to do. That's the fertilizer that's going to help our plants grow properly. Now, just before the break, we were talking about that the 8-ounce glasses.
Yep.
And I just remember this. So when we look at something called the recommended daily allowance, the RDA, I'm sure you've seen those before, right? Mm-hmm. Like on packages. Yeah. What those recommended daily allowances are not there to create sufficiency in anything. It's there to avoid deficiency. Okay. So when somebody doesn't get enough vitamin D in their diet, a lot of times your bones will get soft. It's called rickets. Okay. So
okay.
in the, I think it was the 40s and 50s, after, like, again, post World War II kind of a thing, rickets was a problem. I mean, kids walking around with bowed legs and stuff like that. That's why they started putting vitamin D in milk. Vitamin D doesn't naturally occur in milk, but they're like, hey, people are drinking milk. This is something that most people will do. We'll just put vitamin D in the milk. You start getting enough vitamin D, you can absorb calcium better, and lo and behold, rickets goes away. People were starting to get goiters. Well, where do goiters come from? It's an iodine deficiency. So what do? We have iodized salt. So they put iodine in the salt, where most salt does not actually have iodine in it. We get iodine from certain plants and mostly seafood. Mm-hmm. But, living in the Midwest, having fresh seafood, not always an option. Mm-hmm. We're lucky in Michigan because we live on the lake, but if you live in the middle of Iowa, maybe not so much.
Right.
So they started putting iodine in the salt because people use salt, and guess what? The goiters went away. All that's doing is it's stopping pathology from happening. It's not actually creating enough in your body that your body's going to operate properly. Does that make sense?
Sure.
RDA is the bare butt minimum that your body needs to not be sick. Okay, so that those levels, and most of the time, they're just not sick levels. They're not to get you healthy levels.
Those are just basically the bare minimum.
The bare minimum that any human being requires to make sure that you don't get a goiter, you don't get rickets, you don't get scurvy. These diseases that we kind of laugh at, we think of like pirates getting them or something.
Right.
Well, those were a real thing in our country not that long ago, but it's because they did the research and found out what nutrients were required to make sure those things didn't happen. And then just recommended, hey, if you eat these things, this is how much you need a day just to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. So that being said, most of the time, what we actually need is several times the recommended daily allowance to actually be healthy. So a lot of times when I'm, especially like something like vitamin D, I'm telling people, hey, you need 5,000 units a day when the recommended daily allowance is only 1,000. Again, 1,000 is enough to avoid deficiency. 5,000 is going to create sufficiency. So we can actually have a reserve in our bodies. If we don't get enough vitamin D one day, we can actually draw off our own stores. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's a big part of that too. So again, going back to the water thing, we know that if you drink 64 ounces of water a day, you probably won't die of dehydration. That's kind of the issue there. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be healthy either. It just means you're not gonna exhibit the signs of dehydration. You probably won't have a headache. You probably won't be super lethargic. You'll be okay with that. That's kind of how that came about. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said, drink half your body weight in ounces, not just the 64 ounces a day. Last part of this whole thing here, Randy. So we got to till the garden. That's your chiropractic. Plant the seeds. That's your exercise. Got to drink water. We got to have good nutrition, which is your fertilizer. The last thing is we got to pull the weeds. We got to weed the garden. Otherwise, the weeds grow up and they choke out the plants that you want. Mm-hmm. That to me is stress management. Okay, that's your mindfulness and meditation. That's prayer. That's your reading your Bible. That's massage. That's yoga. That's all those things that we do to help manage the stress in our lives. I don't like the term stress reduction because I don't know if we can actually reduce the stress in our lives, but we can manage it better. And we do help people with those things as well. So if you're pulling out those weeds, you don't get all caught up in the day-to-day, the minutia of the day as much, kind of quiet that mind. You're going to be able to operate better. Your mind's not going to crash because just like your computer, if your computer's got too many programs open, it's going to get slow and eventually crash, right? Well, our brains are very much the same way. So we have to find time to actually bring this down. And this is what the 8 Weeks to Wellness program is all about, Randy, is getting people to understand what these things are, what's the right thing to do, and then how do you actually implement it? Because then the thing is, people are like, that sounds great. How do I do that? And that's where we come in. We make it so that we kind of make a foolproof plan and we help you implement it and make it as simple as possible. Because I know that most people, if they could do it on their own, they would have done it by now. Mm-hmm. And that's just where we come in. So,
right. And we talked about it on the last show when you talked about having a coach, somebody to partner up and to be able to monitor and help keep you on track.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have that, then unfortunately you're most likely going to fail because research shows that 95% of people need help with this stuff. 5% of people, when it comes to anything, can just kind of figure it out and go on their own. The other 95% of us, myself included, we need that helping hand, that guidance, and sometimes some motivation. I tell people there's two types of coaching you're going to receive in my office. One is I'm going to take you by the hand and help you understand the things that you just don't know. And two is there's things that you know that you should do that you don't do, and I'm going to kick you in the butt and make sure you do them.
Yeah.
There's that's what the coaching is all about. It's tough love, but it's not something we can let you slide on it because it's a little harder. Well, being disabled is really hard. Try that for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it costs $8,600 a year to manage a chronic disease: cancer, diabetes, heart disease, dementia. Those are the big four in our country. $8,600 a year to manage it. It doesn't get better; you just manage it.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous. If you spend every dollar that you spend on wellness, you're going to save $4 on the other end. So So if you want to counteract $8,600, you got to spend about $2,500, right?
That's a good return on investment.
That's a really good return on your investment.
Yeah.
But you got to spend the money up front. The back end stuff, you don't realize it's happening so much, but it's lost productivity, it's peace of mind, it's lost wages. All those things add up.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap this up with the phone number. We're talking again with Dr. Kyle Denholm of Breath of Life Chiropractic Wellness Center in Petoskey. Give him a call, 231-622-8828. Again, 622-8828. And the website, breathoflifechiropractic.net. 8 Weeks to Wellness has every single one of these components that Dr. Kyle just talked about. So with that, sir, we'll wrap it up. Your final thoughts for this segment.
The biggest thing, Randy, is take action. If you don't do something today to take action, nothing's going to change.
Absolutely. You'll keep getting the same results you've been getting.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. I'm Chuck and Randy. Final segment of the first hour. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back into the show, everybody. Final segment of hour number one. Got a bunch of text messages here that we're going to get caught up on. One of the things that I think we're looking at is people not realizing how much we are going to be needing water in our bodies. A couple of people have said, wow, didn't realize we needed to be drinking that much water. Another person, dude, that's like 10 glasses a day. Yep. I just, during the break, went and poured a full glass, a large glass that I use, checked it out in the measuring cup. Sure enough, 12 ounces. So it's like, okay, I got to have at least 10 of these, at least. 11 would be better. Put me at a gallon a day. How many of you are drinking a gallon of water every single day throughout your day? And it's something that Kyle says your body needs it, the organs need it, the tissues need it. I think the best thing he said in that interview is what happens to beef if you dehydrate it. It becomes jerky. It becomes hard and somewhat brittle, and that's what you're basically doing to your body, to your organs, to your tissue. If you dry it out, you're not getting enough water in your system. That was pretty graphic for me, and I'm going to turn it into a YouTube video and put it out there later today so that you can share this information. The other component to it, which I think people need to realize, is he starts off by chiropractic adjustments, getting your spinal column completely in alignment, making sure that you don't have any pinched nerves. That way the blood can flow. And then when you throw in exercise and you start moving, then things start to get better, healthier. You feed yourself properly, good nutrition with the right stuff, and put like he said, the fertilizer in there. along with the water, and things start to grow, your muscles start to grow and get stronger, and you become healthier. So, great analogy this morning, comparing your health to a garden, and completely appreciate Dr. Kyle coming on the show, being a sponsor, and getting that information out there for us. And again, I'll give the phone number if you want to give his office a call here in northern Michigan, 231-622-8828. Again, 231-622-8828. They have all of these different components laid out in his office there, and basically is a one-stop shop. You can get chiropractic adjustments. You can work out there. They can advise you on nutrition. They have a full-time massage therapist, and also be able to get you into information, knowing about different information for relaxation. He's got books there for you to read and can sign out, and basically work with you every step of the way with a nutritionist, advising you on what to eat, setting up a diet for yourself of not really starving yourself, but what foods you should be eating and focusing on based on your own body, custom tailored to you and to what your goals are, what you'd like to accomplish. So greatly appreciate him being part of the show and explaining all this stuff to us. And again, every Monday night, he does different seminars at his office. So even if you just want to call, find out what seminar is coming up this week, this next Monday, June the 11th, you can give him a call, 231-622-8828, and see if it's a particular topic that you would like to be educated on, learn more about, and be able to ask your questions and get to meet Kyle and find out more about his 8 Weeks to Wellness program. So again, greatly appreciate him. And one of the things I think that we're looking at here is the fact that we know a lot of this stuff. It's common sense. But again, he explains it in such an easy way to understand and can absolutely give you the pictures to think about. So if you're at work and you're not drinking enough water, maybe get up from your desk and take a short little break. Go down to the break room and get some water. Exercise to get the water and back might just be enough to do that. Like you said, 8-10 times a day might just be enough to get you back into proper nutrition as far as the fluids in your body and help you, maybe start solving some health issues for yourself. I know just taking sugar out of my diet, I attended one seminar that he had when he said that sugar was an addiction. And when I listened to him and I sat there and thought about it, I said, you know what? He's right. I've completely eliminated sugar out of my diet as much as I possibly can. I've reduced carbs. I've reduced a lot of sweets. And I'll tell you what, my blood pressure has dropped almost 20 points. Pretty consistently was 145/90. Now I'm 125/80. My blood sugar is down to 92. Every single day now when I test my blood sugar, I'm right at 92. And I was pushing 125 to 130. I was pre-diabetic and didn't even know why. Well, that's it for this hour. We're going to shift gears, go to Lansing. I'm Trucker Randy. We'll be right back.
This is Cassie. Thank you for listening to Your Defending Fathers.
Would
Would you like to lose weight, lower your blood pressure and cholesterol, all while reducing the prescription medications you're taking? Would you like to increase your energy, tone, shape, and strengthen your muscles, reduce blood sugar, and increase your self-esteem? Then 8 Weeks to Wellness is right for you. Hi, my name is Dr. Kyle Denholm at Breath of Life Chiropractic Wellness Center in Petoskey, and you can join me every Tuesday morning at 9:15 on the Trucker Randy Show so you can learn more about this revolutionary program. 8 Weeks to Wellness is a comprehensive program that starts with a complete health and wellness assessment, in-depth blood workup, body composition analysis, and wellness education. That all gives us your wellness score. We then tailor a program to fit your needs and goals that includes personalized diet plan and nutritional coaching, chiropractic adjustments, personal fitness training, massage therapy, and stress management instruction. And best of all, it's in one convenient location. If you're interested, listen to the show or call 231-622-8828. Again, 231-622-8828, or go to breathtoflifechiropractic.net, breathtoflifechiropractic.net,